groups in Rivers State have continued to mount pressure on the police to fish out the suspected ritual killer who escaped from police custody in Port Harcourt.
But this time, the International Federation of Women Lawyers has given a 7-day ultimatum to the police to rearrest the fleeing suspect. TVC's correspondent Uche Okoro reports.
For the past 2 weeks, the question on the minds of most people, especially residents of Port Harcourt, remains: where is Ifeanyi Chukwu Maxwell DK, the alleged killer of 8-year-old Chikamso Meso? Since August the 9th, when he escaped from the State Criminal Investigation Department of the police, he has remained at large. Saddened by this development, the International Federation of Women Lawyers says cases of violence against children have been on the rise. They are therefore calling on the police to step up efforts to apprehend the fleeing suspect within 7 days in order for the law to take its course.
The death of Ms. Chikamso goes to show that every day an innocent child is being abused and or murdered without any trace to the perpetrators. We demand an immediate rearrest of the said Ifeanyi Maxwell DK and apprehension of every other police officer involved in these acts within 7 days.
Mother of the late 8-year-old girl was also present. She managed to paint an emotional picture of the search for her daughter, who turned out to have been murdered by her uncle and neighbor.
It was that 1 a.m. time that Ifeanyi gathered her sister's cuffs, put in a sack, tie her, put the sack inside the basin to go and dispose my daughter as a refuge. So on his way going, the community vigilante saw him and asked him, "Where are you going by this time of the night?" He said he wants to go and throw away dustbin. They said, by 1 a.m., Ifeanyi come first. They said he started moving fast. They followed him. He started running. That was how the one that was pursuing him allowed the people in front. Those ones now were coming to meet him. When he now saw that people are coming from his back and from his front, he dropped my baby's cups and ran into the swan. They followed him up. The vigilante people that caught him, when they caught him, he promised them 400,000 that he will give them 400,000 each so that they will let him go. As they were dragging, he bites one of them. Even the pound of flesh fall off. He bit that man so dearly that that man shouted and others came. They caught him. That was how they caught him and was like holding him before the police came. Somebody came to our house and was shouting, "Where is that woman that said that she's looking for her daughter? They have seen her." I thought my baby was alive. I jumped up. Only to, on my way going in, there was a, "Hey, she's dead." She said, I thought, what I said that.
The International Federation of Women Lawyers has also called on the police to provide 24-hour protection for the victim's family and witnesses so as to guarantee their safety while the suspected ritual killer remains at large. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
This is a clear story of a protector becoming a predator.
Yes,
very sad indeed.
Absolutely. Very. The pain of a mother is totally indescribable there. You know, at times like this, you're lost for words. You don't even know how to begin. Indeed. But we'll just have to introduce our guest this morning. He's a security expert, Michael Obiaje. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
I wonder how you feel, you know, just seeing this mother's pain that her 8-year-old was killed not by a total stranger, but like Azizat said, a protector becomes a predator. A family member.
Thank you very much. It's always the case, most times in crimes like this. The perpetrator is somebody that is always very close or is well known to the victim. And my heart goes to the family of the deceased and so many others like them that are not captured, that are not made known. We thank God for the social media today. It's not as if these things were not happening in the past. You know, a lot of these things happen in the past, but the ability for them to be, thrown up there so that everybody will get to know. It's what was lacking in the past. But these days, if it happens here, in the next minute, it's all over the world, and everybody knows about it. So it becomes as if these things are becoming more rampant now. It's not as if they were not happening in the past, but the media, you know, through which these things we get to the open.
But what can we now blame for this, really, in the society happening, the get-rich-quick syndrome?
Actually, like the young man there, I think what's the name? The day they gave back to him, I'm sure a lot of people, eminent people gathered, and naming ceremony.
His birth.
Yes, naming ceremony was done, and then a male child has been born. But then, no mother at the point of having given birth to the child would decide that this is what I want my child to become. So the society has become so disintegrated. Values have been turned upside down, to the extent that these days you see a situation whereby abominable acts are so tolerated and so allowed to occur to the extent that it becomes like a culture. So the society has the major blame, because what we see is that, like in security, you always hear the cliche that nobody is born a criminal, but the society prepares the crime. What the criminals do is to commit it. So, and when there are no structures in place to be able to check these tendencies, you know, we begin to see them happening rampantly. And Nigeria is naturally, as a part of the African culture, we are ingrained so much in occultic practices and superstitious beliefs that is so much still being held onto tightly by the people.
So can we now say the perpetrators are victims of the society as well?
Of course, they are victims of the society, because in this part of the world, the family system is gradually giving way. And you know, the family is the brick with which the society is built. So if we say the family is going, it means the society is being threatened. So as much as possible, people have now seen that the legitimate means of earning income, creating wealth, and invariably acquiring power, as you call it, is no longer there. So they hit a brick wall when they get there. So people resort to all sorts of what they feel, well, our society's own way of doing things. That's not to justify the evil that people perform. But you see,
and it's even more shocking, you know, when you say these things have always been with us. It's because of the media and social media that we get to hear
more of them now.
Of it now. Isn't that in itself is really, really troubling? Does that mean that that is really who we are? And who are the people behind this? I mean, one would have thought, okay, it's a product of ignorance, illiteracy, and, you know, unenlightenment and all of that. But then again, the people who are behind this, according to reports that we've received, are, you know, highly placed people.
Of course. The truth is, the likes of Ifeanyi and so many that have been arrested and are being investigated, most of them are not the actual people that make use of these human parts that they remove from their victims.
There's a demand for it.
There's a demand for it. And it's just like the triangle of combustion. You know, there needs to be, for fire to take place, you need oxygen, you need fuel, and then you need heat. So for you to dislocate that triangle, you must remove one of the sources. So if the demand is broken, the supply definitely will go down. So who are those that are involved in this? It's just like what Peter, one of these legendary musicians, will always say that everybody is talking about crime. Who are the criminals? Everybody is talking about ritual killings here and there. Who are those involved in the ritual killings?
And then this makes you wonder, really, because, for example, what happened in River State now, the perpetrator is at large. In the past, that's why, if you recall Clifford Orji, the
Tokoto saga.
Yes, the Tokoto. And then even Bado, the recent one, Bado in Ikorodu. And then Nigerians are quick to say that if we catch any suspect and we hand them over to the police, they'll be set free. And this is now what is happening in Rivers State. Now, the responsibility of security agencies in the institution, in any society really, to make sure that what is not a norm doesn't become a norm. But when prominent people are involved, you see high standard, but then when human life is involved, shouldn't it be about human life being the most important of all things?
I'm very sorry to say this, and without apologies to anybody, I want to say that Nigeria is getting to a state where the human life is no longer a thing of value. Life can be as cheap as 1,000 naira in Nigeria. Somebody can be given 1,000 naira to sniff out life from somebody. And the security apparatus we have in place, they're trying their best. But if you look at it, I want to tell you today, how many policemen do we have in this country? The entire number of policemen that we have in this country, deploy them to Lagos, it will not even be enough.
Indeed.
300,000.
It will not even be enough. Now you divide the 300,000 by 100. You are saying that one policeman is supposed to take care of over 500,000 people or close to 1 million people. Then what is the international standard practice? And apart from the size that is not even okay to cover this country, how equipped are they? And these are people that still live within us. So the problem is that we have to make a conscious effort. It's not about thinking that it is there, because the attitude of an average Nigerian today to security is that there's somebody that is there to do it for me.
And people are now taking the laws into their hands. It seems there's a link now between kidnapping, jungle justice, and of course ritual killing. I mean, there's so many cases that happened only recently. One happened in Mushin just the other day, where a suspected ritualist pretending to be a mad woman turned out to be a man, actually. But of course he was, mobbed and lynched by the people.
Ilazik in Lagos.
You can count
Obade Yajala in Lagos.
So many that one cannot even begin to name.
It's quite disturbing. It's quite disturbing. And everybody has to become involved in this fight. It's not to be left alone for security people to do, because one, the society, it's just like if you want to discover whether eggs are good or bad, all you need to get a bowl, put them in them, and then you see the good ones will go down and then the bad one. Naturally, that thing sieves. The society should be designed in such a way that it will be able to sieve out the bad elements, not necessarily waiting for anybody to say this person is bad or that person is good. Personal security efforts should be made so that we improve the consciousness of people. Mostly in advanced countries that it's not as if the police are there to do everything. There are citizens that see these things and see it as an obligation to make it known to the police, and then it's escalated and it moves on from there. And then what kind of policing do we have? What kind of people do we have that, the recruitment process do we have in the security agency? And when you look at it, how well trained are they? And they come out from this environment, and at best, they say the best of men, even at their best, are still men. They cannot be angels. So we have to be connected. There should be what we call community policing. Everybody, somebody will sit down in Zingeru, somebody will sit down in Abakaliki, somebody will sit down in maybe one of the villages very close to Ekpe, and he's thinking that it is, and he has a village head, and he's thinking that it's the president that will come and provide security for him.
But then the police officers too are also members, they are products of the society. And then you said earlier that most of the time the perpetrators are people known to the victim. So how easy really is it going to be able to curb this effectively? The best we can do, because like I said, most of these people, as much as they want to do their work, the system that we have in place sometimes also make it impossible. You are there trying to investigate a case, and then the case is linking to somebody that is somebody in this country, and a call is placed somewhere, and by the time you begin to do it, but if our collective conscience, which gradually is going, or has gone in this country, the collective conscience is gone. So people no longer see evil as evil again. Because that's why we're calling for the release of Evans, the kidnapper.
Yeah, and you see them, people will come and say, he's been arrested because he's from this part of the country, somebody else has done somebody. You don't use apples to compare with pineapples just because the word apple is there. Crime is crime any day, anytime. We don't know who the next victim is going to be, and nobody prays to be in the situation of that woman. And so what we need to do is to increase our level of security consciousness in this country.
Wow, the spate of ritual killings in Nigeria is still something that is totally mind-boggling. Well, we have our guest who we've been speaking with, security expert Michael Obiaje. While the news update was going on, we're trying to make sense of, exactly, you said something that's really profound. We've not even defined exactly who we are as a people, as Nigerians. What does it mean to be a Nigerian? It's a question I've asked a number of times. And what exactly is the vision that we have to be Nigeria? Okay. I wanted to speak to that?
Thank you very much. I think that was a fallout of something that I just mentioned to both of you. I said, Nigeria today is about one of the easiest countries that people can come into. To the extent that we have gotten to a point that we don't even know who are the Nigerians any longer. Who are Nigerians? Because people come in, Nigeria has been infiltrated, so much so that most of the people that are even coming in, nobody vets them. Yeah. We don't even know if they are running away from the law. And when they come here, maybe they had also committed ritual killings over there. And when they come into this country, they begin to recruit the young ones who are already available, waiting to be used. They recruit them to carry on with the same thing they were doing in their countries. It will surprise you to know that, taking Lagos, for example, most of the estates where our so-called influential people are living, you will be surprised to know that most of their security men are Chadians, they are Nigerians, foreigners. And why do they go for them? Because they are cheap. And security is not cheap. Whoever does not want to spend on security will end up spending on security. And so we need to know who are Nigerians. And then come down to sit together. Like in everything, we decide to look up to America, look up to London, look up to other advanced countries. But in certain good things that they do, we refuse deliberately not to do them. How do we know the total population of this country, the spread? And then we begin to ask ourselves, what kind of nation do we want? If you ask an average man from the north, his idea of the Nigeria is looking for is different from that man from the east and everywhere. And so we are not working together to build a Nigeria. But if you talk to an American, you tell of the American dream. And so everybody will now see himself playing one role or the other to make sure that this Nigeria that we want,
the dream is actualized.
Security, the same thing. It's the same way. People's definition of security in this country is what they think security is, which is quite different. And that is why people do not see themselves playing one role to support the government. And then the issue of trust comes in. Yeah, today, in the past, people out of patriotism give information, we call them informants, to the security agents to make use of, to nip crime in the bud before it gets out of hand. But today, it is not happening. And would you blame them? You don't know if the person you are taking the information to is one of the gang members. And then the next day, you are gone.
One was killed recently in Lagos.
Yeah, people are being paid now as whistleblowers, because the whistleblowing we are talking of was the informants of yesterday. And today, they are being paid to do that.
Okay, now, it seems poverty plays a key role, really, in this whole problem we're talking about. Do you agree?
Yeah, poverty is one, but value system is the most that plays the role, because we have lost it all at that level. Poverty is there, but it's almost everybody is poor in Nigeria. So if everybody, because I'm poor, I kill because I'm poor, it will become...
Well, there is poverty and there is poverty.
There is poverty and there is poverty. I agree with you. I agree with you sincerely.
Is fear feeding what some have described as a conspiracy of silence that seems to surround this issue of ritual killing? That's what we're talking about. Yeah, is fear. People are afraid to speak up, and people are afraid when it comes to I'm even looking at it from the point of view of, you know, what's talking earlier about the herbalists themselves who actually take advantage of people. The herbalist in those days was a herbalist. He provided alternative medicine,
of course, using goats
and all of that.
Chickens,
and all of a sudden,
herbs.
you know, like our guest that we had yesterday said, I don't know when it changed from using animals for sacrifice or rituals to human beings. And then you go to a herbalist and it tells you, well, you bring this and all of that. And people, it's so mind-boggling.
Let me add to what you just said, really. And then I don't want to mention this. Of course, this is Lagos. There's still an area in this state, and not just Lagos alone, some states in Nigeria and even Africa, that they will say that they want to perform some form of ritual in their community today. People should not move in.
Ikorodu,
people should
that
not move
happens.
out. And then at the end of the day, if you get close to indigenes of those areas, they will tell you that so people were killed. So people were sacrificed, but you never hear this officially. Yeah, is that contributing?
That is why in my opener I told you that a lot of these things have been happening in the past and they are still happening and they will continue to happen. It's not as if one is trying to put fear into Nigerians, but there are things we know that are wrong and we remove our eyes from there as if it's no longer going to be there. Now, there are places in this country today, till this moment that we speak, that if some prominent citizens die, some heads must have to go with them. Is that not a form of ritual? There are ritual killings. And so the desperation in people, Nigerians want to get whatever they want to get, whether by fair or foul means. And in most cases, foul means. When it comes to competition, Nigerians don't believe in healthy competition. I must get there and whatever it is. And the herbalists themselves are taking advantage of this desperation we've seen. And they now feel if they tell you to bring chickens and goats and everything, you feel the thing is not going to work. So they give you this, make you to go to the extreme. That's why somebody will tell you to get the tail of a lion or anything, knowing fully well. How do you even get to the... So they now begin to say, okay, bring human parts and everything to do this. And then people are now saying that that is the easy way out. Go to communities today.
Oh, well, we'll have to really leave it there. And we don't want to believe that this is a true description of the average Nigerian. This may just be a few people who are making Nigerians look really bad.
Yeah,
Michael,
Nigerians,
yes,
really.
Indeed. Michael Obiaje, security expert, thank you so much for your time and your contribution
Thank you very,
on the
very
show
much
this morning.